First, let's get things started with my man, the Director of Digital Strategy over at the Kellogg Company, Karl Miller.
Jesse J, Janae, Rick's done.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, thanks a bit. Jesse J, hey Ferry, how are you? Awesome. So thrilled to be here. Really excited to present some information we have here about Pop-Tarts to y'all. And I'm super excited I could walk up to Jesse J for all of you. I chose that myself and excited about it. So saliency through content, something that we're all struggling for, something we all want to get to. And in this particular, on this brand, I think we've got some great examples of how we've managed to pull it off, to really connect with the consumer and share with them things that we know they're interested in, but that also work really hard for the brand. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. The exciting part for me is how awesome Pop-Tarts is. Does anybody grow up with Pop-Tarts? Exactly, and who still gets excited about Pop-Tarts? Like, you can't help yourself. Somebody today was telling me they liked, not actually, it was Dean was telling me he liked unfrosted, which seemed foreign to me, but I know it takes all kinds. 25 flavors or so out there, plus 6 plus whatever that come in for holiday and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot to manage. Let's take a look what we're going to talk about today. A little bit about the origin and the history. Talking about Crazy Good Summer, that's the program that I want to share with you today, how that came together, the origin, thinking that went into it before we brought it out to the marketplace, and then how we've evolved strategies over time. And I've got some results if we have time. I've been told that I'll be flagged if I go too far or too long. So origins and history. This is one of our first print ads. This was actually probably roughly 1967. We launched in 64. We had 4 flavors and none of them were frosted. Which sounds crazy. It was in the early 70s when we first put the frosting on, and the Pop-Tarts name actually, it was Country Squares when it first launched. There's an interim name, and then in 67 we switched it to Pop-Tarts, really pivoting off the pop art movement at the time, Andy Warhol and the like, so trying to get into that pop culture place, and Pop-Tarts has sort of gone and played in that area ever since. So a quick timeline, you'll see the one of the exciting parts of Pop-Tarts has been its targeting and where we focus. So we started out in 64. It was a mom-kid targeted brand in those late 60s, and in the late 80s we shifted to from all family to teen, and then we refocused on all family in the mid-aughts, and then in 2012 finally back to teen. So there is some back and forth as we went through trying to figure out exactly what would help us drive the business. And it was in 2012 when we refocused in on the teen that we felt we really started gaining some traction. And really what drives that, and I think many of you in the room deal with this, like look at broad family appeal. We've got a guy in his probably 40s, maybe a little older, his wife, a couple of teens, 2 kids. I'm sure we could all come up with one product and one brand promise that would work for all of them, right? Probably not, nearly impossible. It's really difficult to try to find something as universal as Pop-Tarts. You all have your relationship with the brand, but then how can the brand bring something to life for you that's relevant for all of these people or all of you in quite the same way? So in 2012, we began to focus in on teens and being relevant to teens, and that's, again, where we started to get traction. Oops, that's the other button. So let's talk a little bit about how Crazy Good Summer was born. This was the challenge, right? Move beyond reminding teens that Pop-Tarts is a delicious food they enjoy and become the brand that they love. Pop-Tarts doesn't have an awareness problem. Everybody knows what Pop-Tarts is. Many people love the Pop-Tarts food. The challenge that we were faced with at that point was really getting the brand to a point that where there was a relationship with the brand and not just an exchange of, thanks for your money and here's some food. Moving beyond that, though, can be difficult at times. And what you have to do, obviously everything's grounded in insight, and hopefully you'll hear a little bit more about insights over the course of the day. But with teens here, this is focused in on the summer. One of the things that they're really struggling with is that boredom, limited mobility, and lack of funds are their top summer buzzkills. So you're nothing to do, right? You're not going to school. You're maybe not as hyper-scheduled as you are in other parts of the year. You get a little bit bored. You don't necessarily own a car. Maybe both parents are working. You're kind of housebound a little bit. And on top of that, it's not like you've got money shooting out your ears. You're a little bit broke. And what really exacerbates this, what makes it even that much worse for teens, is social media, which most of us participate in and we all love. But the thing is, it's a curated life, right? I mean, that is people just showing exactly what they want you to see and how awesome their existence is, and you're stuck here. So all your friends are having a blast, and things are going really well for them, and you're seeing that in your newsfeed, but you've got this boredom, limited mobility, and lack of funds kind of weighing you down. So the opportunity then became clear. We wanted to get out there and become that co-conspirator in summer fun, bring the free access to concerts, music events, artists, and content. So all of a sudden, that lack of mobility doesn't matter because we're bringing the content to them. The boredom would go because none of us would ever bring boring content to anyone. So that, of course, is squashed, and we're not charging anybody for this stuff. This is free. So all of a sudden, you start to see how the brand can come forward and really alleviate some of the stressors that the target has. And it's understanding the target that sort of eliminated that for us. So the approach here was Pop-Tarts Crazy Good Summer, branded entertainment and content that fuels social conversation and relevance. That's where we started in 2012. I'd say we're still getting after this today, so 4 seasons, 4 years of this particular program. And you'll see as we go through sort of how it came together over the years that we've had to evolve and maintain relevance not only with the consumer, but certainly with the media landscape, fragmentation of media, and how you connect with consumers today, particularly tweens. So here's a quick look at how it mapped out over the years. We started in 2012 with Carly Rae and Austin Mahone. And in 13 and 14, Demi Lovato really became sort of the star of our program. We worked with a lot of other up-and-coming artists. I'm going to walk through some of the details of the program as we go. And then in 2015, my best friend, Jessie J, Rixton, and Janae Aiko up there. So this is the cue for me that it's not broken, it's still working. But we're going to play a video real quick. So I just wanted to share with you a montage of the first few years, and then we'll get into how those came together.
My summer has been really, really crazy good.
There's something exciting, I feel like, always in the air. Like, there's always something going on. My favorite, always, and still is the hot fudge sundae. It's the best.
My mom would always get the brown sugar cinnamon, so it reminds me of home. Happy birthday, Pop-Tarts!
I will always love you.
So just a peek at some of the content that was created in those first few years, 2012 through 14, and how it all came together. I want to talk specifically about each of the years so you can see how the program built over time. This was summer 2012. The social landscape was entirely different than it is today. Organic reach was real and everywhere. It was fantastic. But we were really working on driving conversation, driving excitement. The brand decided to put on a few concerts. The concerts were going to be free, and we would hand out tickets through our Facebook page. And then any of the fans on Pop-Tarts' Facebook page could then access the tickets before they sold out, of course. But it was all about driving conversation of the event, driving conversation of the artists. Who might the artists be? Where might they be coming? And pushing that out towards our fans. We did manage to have a couple of interviews with artists, which is certainly exciting and fun for our teen audience. We could talk about the concerts. We didn't have the rights to the music or anything, so putting out video and things like that was a little bit constrained, but it was certainly working hard for us, and there was a lot of excitement about that as we went forward. And it did really well. We loved it. Senior leadership loved it, and that's always fun, right? That means that in 2013 you get to do it again. But the challenge is they loved it so much, it's like, don't just do what you did last year. You've got to get out there. You've got to amplify. You've got to do more, make it bigger, make it better. But Facebook had started to shut off their valve here, and the organic reach wasn't what it had been. So we started to think about how we can go at it a little bit different. We're going to add a sampling tour here. So we've got the Pop-Tarts truck that's going around the country and sharing the food, making sure that we're getting the word out about the concert tour. We've got packaging integration here, free downloads for kids, which makes no sense today because of Spotify and Pandora. But back in 2013, that was still a relevant thing to hand out to your consumer, and it really worked for them. And we started to work our way into new social channels. It's really easy to get comfortable where you're at and use the channels that you're using today, but the landscape's always changing, and being ready to move into something new here, as an example, is Instagram. But moving into a new spot is important, and you've got to take those risks, and this is one of the years where Pop-Tarts, yes, we perceive that as risk. This is one of the examples where Pop-Tarts led the way. And then Live Nation was giving away last-minute tickets on our behalf. So as far as this is concerts beyond just the ones that we owned. It was around the country. If there's a pop artist, sort of anchored into that pop music genre, if there's a pop artist whose show hadn't sold out, Live Nation would give away a bunch of the tickets, sort of sell out that venue on behalf of Pop-Tarts. And that did generate a lot of conversation among the teens. People would take pictures of their tickets and shout it out to their friends via social media on what was happening, and we sort of dive into that paid media support in the social space in 2013. Went really well. Things were awesome. We got to do it again. So now we're rolling into 2014. We're able to link it here with brand news. We've got our 50th birthday, so who doesn't want to talk about that? Really, mostly the brand, but we found a way to make it fun and exciting for the target as well, and bringing in bigger artists and more shows. So this particular year, we were up to 4 free concerts, 3 of which were more the standard approach, and the 4th one is tied in on the packaging promotion there with Austin Mahone. You had the opportunity to win a free concert. Austin Mahone would come to your high school and play a show at your high school. And this was interesting for us. There's always been a little tension around the connection between the consumer and the shopper. And on Pop-Tarts, a lot of the content marketing that we're doing is focused on the consumer. But you can never forget about the shopper, because that teen's not really doing much of the grocery shopping. And we've got to make sure that mom gets it in the cart. And this shopper program just didn't work quite as hard as it had to. And hindsight's 2020. You look at it and you're like, yeah, what mom even knows who Austin Mahone is? Well, I'm sure there's a couple. But it's definitely not her sweet spot, and it's not something that's going to get that pack in there. And then beyond that, the prize that we had offered, a free concert at her child's high school, 1 out of the entire country. Mom can do that math pretty quick. And then, and again, is it even relevant? Is it something she cares about? So in this particular year, in this instance, that split between consumer and shopper we did stumble a little bit. We just didn't get the results in store that we wanted, which you'd think would put us under threat. Like, do we get to do this program again? But we do. But what we did, the solution there was actually like, okay, let's not try to force a connection between these 2 programs. It sounded great that in the summer we're going to have one big thing, we're going to tie it all together, we'll get the consumer, we'll get the shopper, but you're force-fitting it. And the consumer can tell that, they can feel that, they feel the inauthenticity, if you will. So as we move forward in 2015, we actually separated those out. There was a program for shopper, there was something live. It was done in a very Pop-Tarts way, but it wasn't part of the content push as we went out, and we focused in on the music again. So let's take a look at what we did to evolve, because again, it's bigger, better every year. That's always the strategy. So it's awesome to have a great program that everyone loves until they're like, what are you doing next year? I forgot. Anyway, so evolved engagement landscape, right? We could no longer rely on the same tentpole concert events. We were struggling with organic reach, and the methods we'd been using up until now were no longer as effective in the marketplace. So we can't rely on that. We have to pay for and earn. Our branded concert events were no longer news. That first year when a brand gave out a free concert and they pushed everything out to the Facebook page, the media was all over it. We got a lot of impressions. It was fantastic. Second year, third year, fourth year, nobody's paying attention anymore, and we're relying on those impressions for our program to work. So we've got to find something new here. And then contracts and licensing. It had begun to restrict our ability, and I'll explain that a little bit more, because I think there's a really important lesson here, and that is with Live Nation, who are putting on all the events, and they've been a great partner for that. We continue to work with them in that space. But they don't own the artists. They can suggest things to the artists. They can ask for help from artists, but artists are artists, and they don't necessarily want to be seen as a shill for a brand. It's very hard to get the type of things that we would want out of an artist to create content for our consumers. We want fun, exciting, behind-the-scenes video, photo, audio, whatever you can do. And because Live Nation didn't own the artists and what they do, it became difficult to get that sort of stuff, and we felt a bit constrained there. So working with VML, the agency that's really been at the helm of this program throughout, they came and pitched the idea of like, maybe Live Nation isn't the right one for us to be working with. Maybe it's Universal Music Group. I mean, let's go to the source. Let's go to the recording contract, the folks that do own sort of what artists do and don't do, and see what we can do with that. And that's where this program started to really change over prior years, and I think become a much richer content experience. We'll get deeper into 2015 as we go. But I can't stress enough the importance of having the right partners at the right place. Understand what your problem is. We'll help define what solution is right, and getting the right partner who's an expert in that space. And then, of course, the so much content available, ours must stick out. I think we all know this, right? Every every couple of weeks you read an article about how much more content's being posted to the web every minute, every hour, every day. I mean, it's brutal, and we want to break out. And while teens are voracious consumers of content, it's still hard to find to be the brand that they want to engage with and consume the content. So here's where we headed. We wanted to go ahead and follow a trio of artists as they collaborate to create and perform a new and original song. That original song was what you heard on the walk-up. That's Jessie J, sorry to interrupt. So we brought together Jessie J, Rixton, and Janae Aiko to collaborate and create a song that Pop-Tarts would solely own. We own it for about a year, and then it goes to Jessie J, who penned it, right? That's how the music business works, but that's fine. We don't need it beyond that. But it did provide a very unique situation for us to start to generate content, something that our consumer would be really interested in, really engaged in. And it went past the pop genre. So I mentioned earlier, like at 67, we changed our name to Pop-Tarts, trying to lock into that. And ever since then, we've been convinced that it's about pop music, pop art. But that can be somewhat limiting. And there was a realization as we came into 2015 that it might make sense to pick three distinct artists, three artists from very different parts of the music landscape, and maybe broaden your appeal. Again, the hindsight 2020 thing makes perfect sense today, but it was a hard shift in the early days. But what that allowed us to do is really pull back that curtain to exclusive behind-the-scenes action and content. And that's the kind of thing that your consumer can really engage with. When you understand what their passion points are here, teens with music, and you're bringing something that they can't get anywhere else, that can be incredibly powerful. So that exclusivity through Pop-Tarts, that's what I just said on. Let's move, I think I'll build this all out. So this was really the model that we employed throughout the year, and it makes sense. Okay, 5. I'm right on track. This is gonna work really well. So leverage paid social, PR, artist support, and song hype to build that pre-show buzz. So really working on that, and then embracing the energy of our teens to generate rich, earned impressions before, during, and after. With regards to the 5 minutes, I do want to get you through the video 2015 so you can see what we pulled together, so I'm going to jump ahead of this. Again, 3 artists, 2 cities, so we dropped the concerts down to 2, and then 1 song collaboration. And we built this program so that there are some teasers about the collaboration, teasers about the creation of the content, like the song, the creative collaboration behind them, and then building all the way to those 2 concerts. That's the only place you could ever see this song performed live, right? Thinking about the complexity of that, like it's 3 different acts that have to be in the same venue on the same night at the same time to perform the song. So our concerts were the only time that you'll ever see Sorry to Interrupt perform live, which helped drive some of that intrigue. And let's take a look at what 2015 shaped up.
Here we are, the haven, where it all comes alive.
My name's Jessie J.
I'm Janae Aiko.
And we are Rixton, and we are here at the Pop-Tarts studio to record the song Sorry to Interrupt.
For Pop-Tarts, Crazy Good Summer 2015. Janae, Rixton and myself, it's a real unexpected group of people, and I think it's going to create a real moment.
We are huge fans of Jessie J and Janae, and collaborating with them, it's just a bit of a dream come true, really.
Sort of like a metaphor for life, like just bringing people together through music.
Hands up! This is a vibe, you know what I mean? And I cannot wait for the Crazy Good Summer 2015.
So there's roughly 48 hours of that. I mean, we had them for a weekend where they collaborated, created the song, recorded the song, all in that Pop-Tarts studio, branded nicely, so that Pop-Tarts was always there, but it wasn't overt. It wasn't like a bite and smile, make sure you eat the food kind of thing. I mean, it felt really naturally integrated into the scene and what they're working on. And the teens ate it up. Results, yeah, right, I know, pun intended, sorry. So it exceeded 1 billion in total program impressions, 6 million video views across paid and organic, 12.7 million impressions, and then 1.3 million song plays across paid and earned. Pop-Tarts is actually somewhat credited on the album cover. We did the VML did the album art for that particular album, and over 700,000 incremental brand engagements throughout. So really, I mean, it took a little while to get there. It takes patience, over the course of the 4 years, but definitely hit it out of the park. I've got some highlights from some of the things that we learned as we went through. New distribution channels. Spotify was new for us, but it was not so much just playing an ad, but it was actually it was our song that we were out there pushing, and that's where 50% of the listens came from. The rest through smattering channels probably somewhat reflects their share of the audio marketplace, but Definitely powerful to get in there and really match up contact and context. Works like a champ. Interest of time, I'm going to draw your eye to the bubbles that just floated up there. Those are actually, the formatting got a little messed up on this, sorry. But the 36, 11, and 15 are right. Those are the engagement rate that we had. So long form video, 15% of folks actually engaging, 11% on the short form, and then the Vine videos at 36. And I've got some examples of those. I think these rates are unheard of, and I'm out of time. So you can read that, and I can be done. Look at that, it's the last slide, it's perfect. Yeah, so I mean, just if you want to just do this real quick, I'll summarize, I won't talk through all of them. Build ideas rooted in cultural fuel, true consumer insights, keeping your brand purpose and consumer needs top of mind. Makes perfect sense, critical, and that's how content marketing works. Leverage social listening to know what's going on out there with your consumer. Ensure your brand is in the middle of it. It has to be the hero of the content, the experience. Expect change and plan for those shifting landscapes that's going to happen, and be sure you're exploring new channels. Be ready to fail fast. And then finally, craft that meaningful content that's salient. That's it. Cool. Thank you. What's that? What's that?
You want to do questions?
Oh yeah, sure. Q&A. Anyone?
Okay, check. Thank you for sharing the insights, and I've seen a lot of case studies, and this was just you were very open, so thank you.
Sure.
What was your overall budget? Maybe from the beginning to the end, did it increase? And just give us a range, if you would.
Yeah, actually, so I'm in the center of expertise. I don't control the money. The brand controls the money. I'm not as close to that particular one. What I can tell you is the number remains relatively flat across the program. And we do have an agency partner in the room here. Dean, would you add any context to that as far as how the budget changed over the years?
I think the core budget was always the same, but in looking at the ecosystem and adding the incremental pieces around shopper marketing and the retailer pieces, so we sourced from other areas when we made the program.
So that's a great point. So the core budget remains the same, but then some of you, like the shopper programs, there's a shopper team that has a shopper budget, so it's working with them to use some of those dollars to work towards your program. But again, in 2015, we decided we had to separate it out a little bit anyway. But money does sit in silos at Kellogg, so sometimes it's finding the right silo to dig into, not necessarily just increasing your budget.
Coming.
Curious on the engagement on Spotify. Were you guys able to brand the song, like through the title, or how did people kind of correlate it back to Pop-Tarts?
Pretty subtle. It's not like the front panel of a Pop-Tarts box up there, but I think that's okay. It was things like the album cover has cues of Pop-Tarts, and also all the PR and news that went behind it. So there was a PR push to help spread the word. It does make the brand team, I think, a little bit anxious to have that sort of disconnect between blatant branding and the content that they're producing, but it's also mission critical. If this is too heavily branded, too overt and in your face, teens in particular are going to turn away. I mean, they're just not interested in that. So it needs to be something they're really excited about.
Cool. And then with all of the analytics you had, how did it affect the purchase? How is, over the years?
Kellogg's.
And the awareness is obviously there, but
Sure.
were the moms buying the Pop-Tarts then?
Yeah, we are myopically focused on metrics like that. So I can tell you it's successful. I can tell you it's measured in marketing mix, and the fact that we've done it 4 years in a row and continue to make it bigger and bigger speaks volumes. Yeah, so it does show up in that mix, and it is powerful. All right, good, great, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Karl. Thanks.
Yeah.
If I said before that pizza was the second greatest thing since sliced bread, Pop-Tarts are not far behind. I think we all owe a round of applause just for honestly getting us through college. I know I do. That was awesome, Karl. Thanks.